Shadow work is one of the most transformative yet misunderstood aspects of manifestation. Many people approach manifestation as if it's purely about positivity, visualizations, and setting intentions, but real creation cannot bypass the parts of ourselves that have been buried, denied, or rejected. Your shadow holds all of the emotional energy that you have resisted or judged throughout your life. It is composed of fears, insecurities, unresolved trauma, suppressed desires, shame, and the limiting beliefs you absorbed from family, society, and culture. These energies are not inherently bad. They are simply misaligned energy, waiting to be acknowledged, integrated, and consciously directed. When left unattended, your shadow acts like a silent force in the background, shaping your decisions, your perceptions, and your reality, often in ways you cannot consciously understand. Manifestation that ignores this layer is incomplete because it attempts to build your external reality on a foundation of unacknowledged energy. The first step in shadow work is recognition. Before we go any further, let us know whether you have acknowledged your shadow side or started your shadow work in the comments below. This helps others by letting them know they are not alone and can start from where they are too. To continue, you begin by observing your emotional reactions, particularly those that feel intense, uncomfortable, or automatic. Anger that surfaces over minor inconveniences, jealousy that emerges when someone else succeeds, or inexplicable sadness are all signals that your shadow is present. Instead of pushing these emotions away or labeling them as negative, shadow work invites you to explore them. Ask yourself, where is this coming from? What story am I telling myself that creates this reaction? Which part of me feels unseen, unworthy, or unsafe in this moment? The goal isn't to eliminate these feelings, but to understand them as energetic indicators that are pointing to beliefs or experiences that have not yet been fully processed. Each suppressed emotion is essentially a stored block of energy, and each block influences your vibration, and by extension, your capacity to manifest effectively. Once you start observing your shadow, the next step is acknowledgement without judgment. This means sitting with the uncomfortable parts of yourself and allowing them to exist without trying to change them immediately. For example, if you notice recurring anger around someone's success, rather than berating yourself for feeling jealous, you could acknowledge, "I see that I am jealous, and I feel a sense of lack inside myself." This act of conscious acknowledgement begins to release the energy tied to the emotion. It shines light into the dark corners of your psyche, revealing the stories and beliefs that have been operating subconsciously. These stories often date back years or even decades and are deeply entwined with your sense of identity, so approaching them with compassion and curiosity is essential. Shadow work also requires honest self-reflection and deep questioning. Journaling, meditative inquiry, and inner dialogue can help uncover the origins of your suppressed beliefs. You may notice, for instance, that a fear of failure traces back to early childhood experiences where you were harshly criticized or made to feel unworthy. Perhaps your anger or resentment stems from a relationship where you were invalidated or dismissed. By connecting present emotional reactions to past experiences, you begin to see that the energy you are feeling now is often not about the current moment at all. It's a residue of past conditioning that has been influencing your thoughts, behaviors, and energy unconsciously. Shadow work isn't about blaming the past or others. It's about reclaiming the energy that has been hijacked and learning to use it consciously. Integration is the core of shadow work. It's one thing to observe and acknowledge your shadow. It's another to reintegrate it into your conscious awareness so that it no longer operates in the background, secretly influencing your manifestations. Integration means embracing all parts of yourself, the light and the shadow, the strengths and the vulnerabilities, the parts that society tells you are acceptable and those it deems unacceptable. When you bring these aspects into conscious alignment, your energy becomes whole and coherent, which is essential for manifestation. Coherent energy is magnetic because it communicates a clear, undivided frequency to the universe. The clearer your inner alignment, the more powerfully your outer reality begins to respond. Energy release is a natural companion to shadow work. The emotions and beliefs that have been trapped in your shadow are often stored in the body as tension, discomfort, or even chronic stress. Practices like breathwork, movement, somatic exercises, sound therapy, or journaling can help release this stored energy. Imagine grief that you never fully processed. It may manifest as a tightness in your chest, a feeling of heaviness, or repeated negative thought patterns. Shadow work allows you to consciously acknowledge that grief, to feel it fully without resistance, and to transmute it into insight and strength. When the energy is released, your vibration rises and the stagnant patterns that were limiting your manifestations begin to dissolve. One of the most powerful aspects of shadow work is that it transforms pain into creative fuel. The very energy that once kept you trapped in cycles of fear, self-doubt, or emotional reactivity becomes the energy that drives clarity, resilience, and intentional creation. When you learn to harness the shadow, heartbreak becomes wisdom, loss becomes insight, and fatigue or burnout becomes a guide toward what truly matters. This transformation doesn't happen overnight, and it isn't always comfortable. Shadow work demands courage because it asks you to look at yourself honestly and face the emotions you may have spent years avoiding. But each honest encounter with your shadow releases blocks, restores flow, and strengthens your energetic alignment with your authentic desires. It's essential to understand that shadow work and energy release are not linear processes. Healing and integration happen in waves. You may uncover layers of unresolved emotions repeatedly, each time with slightly more awareness and control. Sometimes, a particular belief may surface over and over until it is fully understood and integrated. This repetition is not failure, it is refinement. Each cycle of recognition, acknowledgement, and integration strengthens your ability to hold higher frequency energy, which directly impacts your capacity to manifest with clarity and authenticity. Manifestation in the shadow phase also requires patience and self-compassion. You may notice that as you clear certain blocks, other areas of resistance become apparent. This is normal because the shadow is multi-layered, and deeper beliefs often operate below conscious awareness. The key is not to become discouraged, but to maintain consistent practice of awareness, energy release, and integration. You don't have to have it all figured out at once. Even incremental alignment makes a profound difference over time. Each small shift in perception and energy accumulates, creating a momentum that transforms your inner and outer reality simultaneously. Practical tools for shadow work and energy release include daily journaling prompts, guided meditations focused on emotional awareness, breathwork for releasing tension, and visualization exercises where you consciously transform negative experiences into sources of strength. Affirmations during this phase should also reflect acceptance, integration, and empowerment rather than mere positivity. For instance, instead of saying "I am happy and perfect," you might affirm, "I honor all parts of myself and reclaim my energy for conscious creation." This reframing acknowledges the shadow while redirecting its energy toward growth and alignment. Another critical component is observing the stories you tell yourself about the shadow. Often, the mind tries to rationalize or judge the emotions and memories that surface. Instead of resisting, notice the narrative and consciously choose a new story that supports your empowerment. For example, if you feel anger about being overlooked in the past, recognize it, feel it fully, and then choose to release the judgment while reclaiming your sense of worth and capability. This conscious redirection transforms what was once a limiting emotional pattern into a source of energetic power that propels your manifestations. Relationships also serve as mirrors in shadow work. People who trigger strong emotional reactions are often reflecting aspects of your own shadow back to you. By observing these reactions without blame or projection, you gain insight into unresolved parts of yourself. Instead of reacting automatically, you can pause, identify the underlying belief or fear, and consciously decide how you want to respond. This practice deepens self-awareness, strengthens energetic boundaries, and refines your manifestation practice by ensuring that your energy remains coherent and intentional. As you progress, you will notice a shift in how you interact with life itself. The shadow, once feared and resisted, becomes a tool for mastery. You no longer fear uncomfortable emotions because you understand their purpose and power. You begin to operate from a place of conscious creation, where your desires are supported by a fully integrated, high-frequency energy system. Manifestation becomes less about forcing outcomes and more about guiding energy with clarity and purpose. The contrast between light and shadow is no longer a source of struggle, but a source of insight and empowerment. Ultimately, shadow work and energy release reveal a fundamental truth about manifestation. Your external reality is a reflection of your internal state. When your inner energy is fragmented or suppressed, your manifestations are inconsistent or misaligned. When you integrate your shadow, release stored energy, and align your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs with truth, your manifestations flow naturally, effortlessly, and powerfully. Shadow work transforms the hidden obstacles that once hindered your creations into stepping stones toward your highest potential. The process requires ongoing commitment. Healing, shadow work, and energy release are lifelong practices, not one-time events. Even after initial breakthroughs, life will present challenges, triggers, and discomfort. What matters is that you now have the tools to navigate them with awareness, integrity, and energy alignment. Every time you face resistance and consciously choose to release, integrate, and realign, your manifestation capacity strengthens exponentially. By the end of this phase, the shadow is no longer a source of fear or shame. It is a trusted guide that informs your actions, clarifies your intentions, and empowers your creative potential. You realize that everything you once tried to avoid, the grief, the fear, the self-doubt, was not your enemy but a signal and resource for deeper alignment. Manifestation from this place is authentic, sustainable, and magnetic because it comes from wholeness, not denial. Shadow work is where healing and manifestation intersect most profoundly. It is the hidden side of creation that many skip, but it is precisely what determines the difference between superficial results and transformative, lasting alignment. When you honor and integrate your shadow, you reclaim your power, align your energy, and cultivate the vibrational foundation that supports every desire you choose to manifest. Through consistent practice of awareness, emotional honesty, energy release, and shadow integration, you move from reactive living to intentional creation. You stop being at the mercy of unprocessed emotions and conditioned patterns, and begin to actively shape your reality with integrity and precision. Manifestation becomes not just about acquiring goals, but about embodying your highest self in every moment. By the time you have fully embraced shadow work and energy release, your energy is cohesive, vibrant, and aligned. Your inner world and outer reality begin to harmonize. Your emotions serve as signals rather than obstacles, your beliefs reflect truth rather than conditioning, and your energy flows freely to support conscious creation. This phase is the bridge between awakening awareness and empowered manifestation. It is the deep, often hidden labor of self-mastery that turns pain into power, darkness into insight, and resistance into the fuel that propels your life toward clarity, purpose, and fulfillment. Look out for my next video in this series, How to Manifest Your Best Life After Heartbreak, Loss, or Burnout. Then share this with a friend, no matter how small or great their loss.